Alrighty. Good evening, everyone. I know. Sorry about that long intro, Mike and Marty. It's I used to just jump right in and start blabbing, but then people weren't joining, right away. So I'd have to kind of go back and rehash everything. So I learned to create an intro. And that's what happens when you're old.
It's a nice intro. It looks very professional.
Yeah, see? When you're old, you learn this stuff as you go.
You know what I like? I can see them. So you're on our TV, so I can see you now. I can't see this.
Another thing about being old, you're on our cell phone, but we cast to our TV so we can read the comments. So you'll see us like. Anyway, great start. Anyway, we are New Jersey Paranormal. I'm John. This is my wife, Chris. Joining us tonight are Michael and Marti Parry, right? Am I saying it right? Parry?
Yeah, Parry. That's it.
Now, I became aware of Michael and Marty through Ghost Adventures many years ago. I watch Ghost Adventures. I know it's not for everyone, but I like that show. And Mike and Marty were on the show, and Michael is doing his mediumship. He's in the building, reading the spirits of the building. And then I see Marty start sketching, and I'm like, well, this is different. And they were on a few other episodes as well. And then I hadn't really seen much of you on TV shows or you're not from Jersey or the East Coast. You said you lived in California before.
Yeah, we've been there, yeah.
How long did you live in California for?
30 years.
Well, I lived there probably 50 years.
Yeah, well.
Wow, no way.
Yeah. So we would get out back east, where we could. But, when there's two of you traveling, it's always double if the cost of everything, you know what I mean? So
especially now, more than ever.
Yeah, so it kind of made things a bit expensive sometimes.
Yeah, we never were on the show. What do you call it? Ghost Hunters.
Ghost Adventures.
No.
Ghost Hunters. Why are you talking about them?
Oh, but we were at a lot of their events on the East Coast.
Yeah. We met them on the Queen Mary when they did their first event.
Oh, wow.
Things like that. And we were doing sessions for people on the boat,
So how old were you when you met? How long have you two been together?
30 years.
30, no,
31, 32.
32.
we're right in the same wheelhouse between the four of us. We've known each other since we were in our 20s, and we're in our late 50s now. So believe me, more than on an intuitive level, I'm feeling it. I can feel the when you've known each other as long as you guys have, and we have been in the paranormal field a long time as well, and we work together in the paranormal field. So kind of similar type of thing where we're home together, and then we're doing the paranormal stuff together. Did Michael, were you doing mediumship types of things? Were you doing readings before you met her?
I did them. I did them, not
Not professionally.
not professionally. And then things really amped up when we met, and we ended up doing this together. It took a little bit of persuasion to get Marty involved because she was a bit shy. She didn't, she wasn't sure what to make of her drawings. I wrote to her and I said, "Come on, you got to sit with me while we do this." And one after another, they'd start recognizing her pictures, and that was it. So, for a while, for a couple of years, I was doing what I normally did when I came to America. I had to make a living, so I was doing finished carpentry work and construction work up in Hollywood, and massive buildings and stuff. And but one day the spirit people said, "You got to stop doing this and stop doing that work and do this." And I said, I don't know how that's going to work. I've
how much does that pay?
Yeah.
Well, it was the money. I chickened out after a week. I went and got another job, and it was a job from hell. And I figured, all right, you win. So I came home one day and I said, "I've quit work. We've got to do this." So
it's funny too, because when we did that, we were making a lot less money than when he was working.
Oh yeah,
we were actually saving money. So I don't know how we did it.
Yeah.
Well, let's go back, because I want to start at the beginning like everybody does. Do you prefer Michael or Mike? I don't want to. Michael, like we ask every medium, we know plenty of mediums through the years. How old were you when you started to notice that you had?
Around 19, 20 years old.
Really?
Yeah.
Not before that? Never any inclination or any?
Well, I mean, no. I mean, there was no. I'm a bit older than you. There wasn't any internet back then. There was no, there were just TV shows, and if you caught the show on TV and you had a VCR, you might be able to record it. But even before that, I mean, there wasn't even VCRs when I was starting in all this.
I was around in those days.
You had to go to meetings. You had to find out through newspapers or the radio that something was going on, and you'd have to make your way there, and that was how things were.
But the medium part of it, were you picking up on things even before your 20s as far as spirit communication?
Yeah. Okay, I met a yoga master when I didn't actually meet him when I was 18, but I came across his group when I was 18. I was looking for answers to things.
Okay.
And he had a healing method that he was teaching that was a universal healing method before Reiki was even heard of. Pranic healing, energy healing. And he taught Eastern yogic philosophy, metaphysics, occult metaphysics, and so I learned healing there, and he would open up his place twice a week, turn one of the big rooms into a healing sanctuary, and the public would come in, and I was one of the people that would do the healing on them. And in the course of doing all this Tibetan mantras and all kinds of stuff, I became very sensitive very quick, and I would hear spirit people tell me what was wrong with the person I was working on. They would tell you, you know how people are. They go to the doctor. I think I've got this wrong with me, and finally they figure out, no, it's not that at all. You've got this wrong with you. Well, I would know that there were people around me helping me, you know, doctors, nuns, priests, whatever, you know, some family. But I never was trying to figure out who they were. I wasn't interested in that. I was focused on the healing. So I just knew the energy was being put through me by them. And they would tell me things about the person, you know. I would hear, oh, this is what's actually wrong with them. And afterwards I would say, you know, have you thought about it could be this? And they'd say, well, actually, yeah, my doctor just actually told me that. And I was like, oh, okay. And from there I started using, you know, learning tarot, what that was all about, I Ching, pendulums, every kind of thing to develop psychic ability I used. Numerology, I would do numerology charts for people, full charts, all that kind of stuff.
You know what strikes me?
I did.
What strikes me is kind of again, we've spoken to a lot of mediums. I don't think we've met a medium yet who said that they were kind of working on people, like you said, with the energy healing, and other spirits were coming through to tell them what was wrong or what was really going on with.
Well, that's like I say, my focus was on prayer work with my master teacher and people that I knew that were students, and so we would be praying for hours, you know, moving energy, sending energy out to the world. He was a very active, almost like a general in his attitude towards things. He wasn't one of these flower garlanded yogis, you see, you know what I mean? But he was a yogi. I mean, he could levitate. He could pick you up, and you wouldn't feel like you weighed a thing, and he could just pick you up at arm's length like that. Oh yeah, he could be in two places at once. You know, people saw him hundreds of miles away, but he was sitting with us.
Wow.
Things like that, you know, and we're talking about a master, an adept. And, you know, the stories that his close associates that I got to know really well, because I was there, you know, every hour God send for a number of years. And
was this in California?
No, well, he was in California. He had a group, one part of the church was in Hollywood, and then the other one was in London. So he'd go back and forward. And he was doing.
But you knew him in England.
I knew him in England. I didn't know him in California because I didn't come to America until 1994, and he was actually the reason I came out. The premises in LA got damaged in the Northridge earthquake. They were all lifted off the ground and moved over a few inches, and it was going to cost like a couple $100,000 to fix it. And this is not a wealthy church.
Right.
So I offered him some money that I'd saved up, and the message got to him, you know, I'll come out and I'll work on the properties for you, because that's what I do, construction and that. Or you can just have the money and I'll stay here, you know.
And when you say church, what do you mean by church? A religious church or just?
It's a spiritual. It's a spiritual metaphysical church. It's they call it the society, but it's really kind of like a yogi's ashram, if you like. It's a mix, because it embraces different aspects of the best of, like, Buddhism, Zen, Christianity, you know, totally believer in Jesus, you know, and that kind of thing. Absolutely. But Buddha, you know, Lao Tse, famous Indians, he was a channel, he was a medium, and he would transfigure. He would change completely when one of the beings would step in him. He would grow, buttons would pop off his chest, you know. I mean, we're talking mediumship on a level that is rarely seen. You know what I mean?
So he's the one you learned from.
The one that I learned from.
To develop.
But he wasn't. It wasn't like he was teaching mediumship.
Right.
But if you were around him and you knew, and you went to his lectures and you studied all the books he'd written and practiced, that was he was always about, you have to do it. You know, he'd say things to you like, don't take my word for it, you know, find out yourself. But you have to do it. He was very disciplined. You know,
No nonsense.
no nonsense person. Exactly. You nailed it. That's what he was. And, you know, he expected you to be highly disciplined and put your full weight of your mind and everything behind everything you did, even if it was mowing the lawn. Like one of my friends who was mowing the lawn one day. He was mowing the lawn outside the master's place. He had another little place that he retired to up in Santa Barbara when he was older, when his health was not so good. And he was out there mowing the lawn one day, and he thought to himself, oh, that's good enough, you know. And he went to put the mower away, and someone came out and said, Wajid, the master wants you to mow the lawn again. And he went back in.
Like Miyagi, Mr. Miyagi. From
Yeah, well, he read his mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, he read his mind like a book. You could read your mind like a book. He knew everything about you.
So were you, when you first started trying to do readings for people, was that just practice as
No,
to what
well,
you were learning, or
We
were
were doing. We both wanted to do healing, but in California, you needed to have a minister's license.
Okay.
So we found this group nearby that you took these classes for a year, and you get your minister's license, and it was all about.
Well, they did some psychic classes as well, which we didn't know that's what they did.
Yeah.
We thought it was more of a healing place, but they had psychic development classes, which
Right.
I'd been doing with my master forever, you know.
Yeah. So he like aced it, of course.
So Marty, you were involved in these classes as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we were both.
I didn't know his master.
Yeah, she hadn't met him.
I never met him.
No, she never met him, and I didn't see him again because he was up in Santa Barbara and his health was declining. And being when you're a master like that, you only have certain people around you,
Right.
and he didn't come down to LA. I think he came down one day and I wasn't there, but that was it, you know. So I didn't see him again when I came to America, but he knew I was there because he's the one that said I want him out here.
So you're both mediums? I was under the impression that Michael was a medium.
No, we're both mediums.
We could work separately, but we prefer to work
It's
together.
Marty's clairvoyance is
Okay.
clearer than mine. I mean, she can draw a portrait of someone, like it's like she's traced them sometimes. I can see them. I can see, you know, features. You know, I can see whether they're dark skinned. I can see them, but
Wow.
I don't know if I did one sketch once. You know, somebody said, "Well, what does my dad look like?" And I said, "Oh, yeah." I said, and I drew it with a pen real quick. I went, "Oh, look, he looks like that," and it was him.
Wow.
But it was just a simple pen drawing, you know. But it's not what I do. I'm busy talking. I'm busy talking to them. You can't. It'd be very hard to do both at once.
When we started off, I used to wear headphones and play music, so I wouldn't be influenced by anything that he said, because I might be drawing a man, and he's talking to a man, and he's saying, "This man has a mustache," but
the one she's seeing doesn't have any whiskers. So
I don't want to.
We would do that so that she wouldn't be influenced by me. That's why we did that. And
how did you guys do that link where, and just because two people can do something, like John and I both do investigations, but we have we have different styles and different belief systems.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we think that that's what makes us a better team, is because we're so different that we bring something different to the table, and it opens you up more to different experiences. How did you two connect and find that it worked with you doing what you do and her doing the drawings? How did that synergy happen?
Because of my teacher.
Okay.
I think he brought us together because it was all. It's a little bit of a long story, and I don't know how long we've got here. Was it an hour?
Yeah, we go an hour, a little bit over.
Oh well, yeah. It's not. We've told this story many times, but
I'm sure.
Basically, the hidden hand of my master was at work, and he brought us together. And I know that because in one of the sessions we were doing when we were doing hypnosis with this lady, she was kind of cool. We were trying to do some past life regression stuff, Marty and I, to find out like who we were to each other before and that kind of stuff. And in the sessions, I kept hearing people talk to me. And so I was having a bit of a hard time getting into past life stuff. Marty was doing all right with it. But
that's because my background is hypnosis.
Well, so's mine in the same way. We both study, both teachers. Her teacher was a medium, and he taught hypnosis. My teacher was a medium, and he taught Eastern mind control. You know, same stuff: hypnosis, the mental states, all of that. Yeah. So, like I said, I kept hearing people talk to me, and one of the things they said to me on one date, which I have all the recordings and I transcribed them later just to see if anything made sense, you know. And it said, the work will begin 1 year from today. Well, I forgot about it. Marty found this couple with the church, and the day we went there to sign up with them and become part of their group was the exact day 1 year later.
Wow.
And I thought, oh, wow, look at that.
Right. We figure we're in the right place.
Yeah, so basically, there were all these signposts saying, you're on the right track, you're doing the right thing, you know, and it was one thing after another. And so basically, we're two mediums working together. We're married, we've known each other many times. We've had other lifetimes together. We know who we were.
I don't hear an awful lot. So when we were practicing doing readings and stuff with the church, I didn't really feel like I could do it. So I hadn't, you know, I was not
she'd sit in the lobby. So I eventually I said, come and sit with me. Yeah, we'll find out who it is. Just come and sit with me.
So what were you getting, Marty? If you weren't hearing, what did you pick up on?
I could see people and
Okay.
Actually, when I was sitting at the front, once in a while, I'll sketch somebody and I'd secretly say, does this look like somebody to you? And say, oh, yeah, that's my mom or something else. Yeah. But Michael was the one that told me this is what I should be doing. Because I've always been an artist.
Yeah, when I met her, I didn't know she was an artist, see.
Really?
Oh, no. I mean, I was actually hanging out with one of my master's students who is a portrait artist. That's what she does. She paints famous people's portraits.
Okay.
And she's very good at it.
Oh, you love the story.
It's a funny story. A medium years ago had told me that I would meet someone who I'd known before. She was an artist. She does portraits, caricatures, portraits, she said, all of this stuff. So, of course, when I met my friend Callan, who was a student who I'd known about, but I'd never met, you know, she was in America. I was just hanging out with her. She'd take me around to all her arty friends, and, you know, it was kind of cool. I was never been to America. I was like, wow, this is cool.
And you're thinking one of these people are the one.
Well, in the back, you know, I mean, I was going to go back. I mean, right. It just you know, sometimes there's something inside you and it goes, there's something here, I don't know what it is, you know. Right. And I just wondered about it. I thought, well, I don't know, you know. And then one day someone called her up and said, you want to come to my party? And she knew this friend that had this weird house in Hollywood and he'd have these parties. And I said, yeah, I'll go along. So we went there, and he'd called Marty up. He knew Marty as well. They were both friends of his. Yeah. And that's how I met her. Wow. So my friend sort of swanned off to mix with her friends, and I sat down next to Marty, and that was it.
Fate stepped in that day.
And then one day she said to me, she met Callan and she said, you know, I'm better than Callan. I said, I laughed. I said, you're a better artist than Callan? And she said, yeah. I said, I don't know. I said, Callan's pretty good.
Oh my
I mean,
God.
she trained under some of the Hollywood artists, you know. Anyway.
Well, I never trained.
I know. So anyway, a couple of years went by. I was working in Hollywood, and you know, I came home and she was crying. I said, "What's the matter?" And she said, "I can't get a job." She'd sent out, 100 resumes and not one reply. And I said, "Oh man." I said, "What do you want to do?" Yeah, and this is what I always tell people. I said, "What?" I said, "Okay, if you could do anything, what would it be?" I'd be an artist. I said, "Okay, that's what you're going to do." So I went out and I bought some canvases and paints, and they sat there for a week, and days went by and nothing's happening. So I started painting the backyard. I used to paint when I was young. I thought I'd be an artist when I grew up. And I got bored with it. It was an ugly backyard, but I stuck at it, and I was getting bored with it. And she says, "Can I finish it?" And I said, "No, do your own." "Oh, go on, let me." I said, No, I'll get to it. She said, "Oh, go on, let me. I said, "All right, go on then." Bosh. It was done in like 5 minutes. And then out came all these paintings. So she started painting like an hour. Boom, done, boom, another one.
Hour.
Well, very fast anyway. A day. And then, I don't know, the voice in my head kept saying that she was going to do something so unique artistically. And I kept saying to her, "You've got to, maybe you can put some kind of spiritual element in your painting somehow." So she'd like paint a field of flowers, and she'd put a little pixie in there, peeking in, that if you'd have to look to find it, It was like that. I said, I don't know, you're going to do something really different. I don't know what it is yet. And I remembered one day this woman called Coral Polge in England. You can look her up. I knew of her through all my years of study. She was a psychic artist medium, and she would see people and draw them. And I said to her one day, I said, "Look, I'm going to work. Why don't you sit down today and see if you can draw someone who's hanging around? See if there's someone, if you feel someone hanging around, see if you can draw them." So I came home, and she produced this picture of this man, and I didn't know who he was. I said, "Oh, that's cool. It's a really good drawing." And we were holding little meditation circles. We'd have maybe half a dozen people come over a couple of times a month, and we just do some meditation work and energy moving and visualizations and stuff like that.
Right.
And the first girl that showed up was this younger lady, and Marty said, "Oh, look, this is what I did today."
Well, no, she just went over to the coffee table,
she? Yeah.
Picked up the drawing and said, "Oh my God, that's my boss that was murdered a year ago."
Oh my God.
To the day.
It's the day is the day of it, the anniversary of his death. A year ago, he was murdered, she said. Wow. And he was like a father figure to me, she said. And she brought the newspapers in of him, and that was him. And he lived a couple of miles away up on Palos Verdes Hill, where a lot of the rich people live. He was a multimillionaire, and apparently he gave away about $70 to $80 million before he died. I mean, really great guy. And that was the first one she drew.
Now, when she drew that picture and she shows it to you, do you get anything from that?
I didn't.
Sometimes, but not that time.
You mean, initially, you mean when she started?
Yeah. Does she ever show you something and all of a sudden you start getting messages? Or
I do that all the time since we've been doing it together. Yeah.
A lot of times in a session, the person won't recognize the drawing right away. Right. Michael will say,
"Well, his name's this, and
he died this way." That's Uncle Fitty.
Yeah. I mean, there are lots of occasions where we've been working together where I know I can't see who she's drawing because she's sitting, away from me I can't see what she's drawing, but I know who she's going to draw.
Marty, just out of curiosity, when you did that drawing of that boss, How did that come to you? How do you see that? Is it, it's like looking directly at a person?
It comes a little bit differently at different times. Sometimes, yes, I will see a person very clearly and I will be able to draw them. Other times it's like, oh, I'll see maybe the eyes or something, and then I start there, and it's a little bit more with the feeling. Yeah, that feels right and everything.
Yeah.
Almost like the curtain being pulled back slowly.
Well, you know, yeah,
it depends too on how well they can communicate.
Right.
Yeah. Some people are just awesome communicators. They're just great at getting across whatever it is they want to get across. And you've got other people that are just suck at it. You know, no good.
Along those same lines as a medium, because again, we've talked to a lot of mediums through the years. From your vantage point, why do you think that some are good at it and others aren't?
Well, there's a lot of different factors involved. I think that you've got the personality to deal with. So let's say egotism. You have to get your ego out of the way. You have to remove yourself from it completely. So how much, you can't be afraid of it at all. So if you've got a little bit of there going on, you're going to suck at it a bit.
Dedication.
Yeah, you've got to be dedicated to it. It's got to be
you have to completely trust the other side.
Yeah, you have to have, because they're in control of it, not you.
Right.
You can ask them things. You can, say, well, could you do this? And they may respond to you and say, yes, we can do that. But I always tell people when they're going to sit with us, do a session with us, or be in a group, I say, you just got to be prepared for whatever's going to happen, because I'm not in control of this, and neither are you. And you can't boss your relatives about. You never did in life. So if they're going to come here, they're going to say whatever they want to say, not what you want to hear.
And people on the fringe might come through too. It's like, oh, I didn't know them since 5th grade,
Yeah, I get a lot. I always get people go, wow, I didn't expect that person to show up. I said, well, here they are. I had a person that died 5 minutes ago the other night.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You knew them?
Yeah, I knew who they were, and they just died. They died the day before. Yeah. That's right.
Wow.
But you have done 5 minutes.
Yeah. A friend of ours who died, he died 5 minutes ago, and he showed up at my house.
Oh my God!
I didn't know he had died. We'd gone to see him. He was in hospital.
What are you doing here?
Well, he was in hospital. We'd gone to see him, and some people, they think they're going to go home, right. And he looked like a little scarecrow sitting in his bed, and I'm like, oh my gosh! And he'd ordered a lathe. He was an engineer. He was going to go home to his brand new lathe and keep working on his cars, his Rolls Royces, and all that. And I'm like, no. In my mind, I'm like, no, Bill. You're going to be gone, mate. So anyway, we told him.
Wait. That's way too interesting. So he didn't know.
He didn't know he was going to. Well, he didn't think he's a tough old guy. He didn't think he was going to die. So
he was going to will it.
Yeah, but that's fine.
Yeah, that's some people are, right? Anyway, so we said goodbye to him, and I knew he was going to be going. I just knew. So we said, great, we could come down to see you. It was 100 miles away. So we came back, and I was waiting for his wife to call me to say, Bill crossed.
For days.
And I was sitting there thinking, maybe she's forgotten about us, I was thinking, So I said there's always someone hanging around. So I said to the spirit people, is he over there yet? And someone said, nope. I said, wow. Huh. It was like 4 days, I said, really? Wow. Okay. The next day I'm watching TV about 12 o'clock, I think it was, at noon. And there he was, stood by the TV. Hello, Mike, he said. He was a British guy. Right. Hello, Mike. Just died, mate, 5 minutes ago. Will you call my wife, tell her I'm all right? Blah, 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 blah. All right, mate. Yeah, big old grin on his face. I said, all right, Bill. I looked round, he was gone. So I picked the phone up, and this is my headspace. I'm not thinking where his wife is. She's probably by his bedside, but I'm thinking she's at home or something. So I picked up, hello. Hello, I said, Joan, it's Michael here. I just saw Bill. He died 5 minutes ago, thinking she doesn't know. I mean, this is how weird it was. I left a message on a machine. I said, yeah, I just saw him 5 minutes. He said he died 5 minutes ago. He's fine. I told her what he said. And then I called his daughter, who we knew, and I left her the same message. I said, yeah, Karen, your dad just died, blah, blah, blah. And then I hung up. And I carried on watching TV. And 5 minutes later, the phone rang. And it was Joan. And she says, oh, I called to let you know Bill died 10 minutes ago, she said.
Oh, my God.
So there you are. I mean, there's two.
But I beat you to the punch because I called you first.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually said to
I'm not giving you my number,
it
Michael.
was really,
You're not getting my number, Michael.
it was quite hilarious, actually, because I said to her, did you get my phone message then?
That's such a great skit, comedic skit right there.
Oh, my God.
Because
So I'd look at that caller ID and be like, nah. I'm not answering that one.
well, I've done this before with people. Someone was at my house and I told them I could see her dad standing. I said, oh, your dad's here. She said, no, I don't think so. I said, yeah. I said, wasn't he an alcoholic? Yeah, she says. I said, well, he just died like this. I don't think so, she said. I said, well, he looks pretty dead to me, standing right there.
She said, well, somebody would have told me if
somebody would have told me if he died, she said. I said,
we're going to call Michael the Grim Reaper.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, yeah.
I used to have a thing that I would tell people, don't make me draw you.
It was a little joke. Yeah, I said, don't make her draw you. Yeah.
Last thing you want from Michael and Marty is either a phone call or a text with a picture of yourself coming to you.
Anyway, I couldn't convince her he was standing there, and he says to me, she has a sister. I said, you got a sister, don't you? Yes, she said. I said, and then he says, Margaret. I said, your sister Margaret? And she says, no. And it kind of went like this for a little while, for maybe 10 minutes. I couldn't convince her he was standing there. So I looked around and I saw her mum. So I said, oh, you're going to talk to me? She said, yeah. So I just talked to her mother for the rest of the session. The woman leaves our house. She leaves our house. And 10 minutes later, she's knocking on my door. She just got a phone call from a sister from a lady called Margaret, who her dad was hanging out with, and he died 6 hours ago.
Oh my God! So again, we know quite a few mediums, and we've talked to a lot of mediums, and I've yet to hear, because I always ask the same questions when it comes to mediums, because I don't have any kind of abilities when it comes to that. Okay. And a lot of mediums told us that they get like visions or words or whatever, like part of a song or whatever. But I've yet to speak to the medium who said that they actually see the person and communicate with them. Yeah. You're telling me you do that?
I see them and I look at them and
he sees them out.
I see them. Okay.
I see them more inside.
Okay, let me explain something.
Yeah,
so your viewers will understand.
Okay.
All vision takes place in the imagination.
Okay.
Your eyes don't see. They don't see anything. They're like a periscope on a submarine. The light's coming in through your eyes, down the periscope, into your brain, and your brain is making this image in your image in action screen somewhere in the mind,
right,
which is outside of you. It's not in your brain. Your brain's
right.
a pincushion, which thoughts impinge on. So everything in your life is happening in your imagination. What we're doing now is in your imagination, in our imagination, but it's real. We know it's real because it's empirical evidence.
Are you real?
He's got me thinking.
Right.
I just don't want that phone call at the end of this, Marty. I'm just trying to get through this.
Isn't that the best way to say it? Your eyes are the projector from your brain.
Well, your eyes they say your eyes are the windows to the soul. They are windows.
Right.
Yeah.
They're not seeing any. It's like looking through a tunnel to you. You're somewhere else. You're not
right.
in your eyes. You're not in your brain.
Right.
You're outside of yourself, really. So through my yogic understanding and discipline, I understand this. Now, Marty, she would see them, as she says, in her mind's eye. But because of our training, because I would
have once in a while.
Well, she does.
Outside, but
okay,
yeah,
it's both. But I'm trying to just say that what the differences can be.
Right.
So if you're imagining energy, but you're actually seeing it mentally, and after a while you will see it externally because you're with your eyes open. So my teacher thought it was a lot harder to see things with your eyes open than it is with your eyes shut. It's very easy to shut the world out when your eyes are shut, but can you do it with your eyes open? That's harder. He was always about doing it the harder way because it was more beneficial and more difficult and therefore more productive. You see?
It's fascinating to me
Right?
what you're saying, and it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's more difficult, so it's harder, so it's going to work better.
Right.
So we were all trained to see energy when we were praying. We wouldn't shut our eyes. We'd pray with our eyes open. And I would always see things with my eyes open when I'm doing energy work. So I don't shut my eyes when I'm doing this. I look around and I see people. I mean, I'll give you an example. I'm doing a session with, I've got this little old Asian guy. He's about 70s. His wife looks Hispanic and the daughter looks different again. So I'm thinking to myself, oh, here's a collection, you know. what a mixture. And I look over and I see a German officer standing there. I mean, blonde hair, 6 foot, you know, the whole uniform. He's not a Nazi, he's a German officer, you know. And I'm like, okay, who are you? And he tells me he's his dad. I said, oh my gosh. I said, you're his father? I said, wow. I said, what happened to you? You know, how did you die? And he went like this. Oh, he showed me. He went like that.
Sure.
If I did that to you, to me it meant a boat.
Right.
Oh, on a boat. You were in the Navy on a boat? He said, I wasn't on a boat. No, on a boat, he said.
Okay.
And he drowned.
And he went like that. Oh, you drowned on a boat. Got it. Because I couldn't hear him just yet. I'd just seen him. My hearing hadn't clicked in yet. So I was watching him, and he was describing to me what had happened. And I said, how old? Then I could hear him a bit. And I said, how old was he when you died? Was this in the war? And he nodded. I said, how old was he then? He said 6. I said, okay. And then I turned to this old guy and I said, your dad here is a German officer. And he tells me he died in the war, drowned on a ship when he was 6 years old. And the guy started bawling. That's exactly correct. So his dad was standing there and I said to him, wow. And now I'm thinking, what can he's 6 years old. What can you tell him so he'll know, you know, beyond this, that that I'm talking to you. And he said, tell him I owned a restaurant on the Rhine River, and he'll understand. And I told him, and he said, yes, my father had a restaurant, and the only thing I remember, he says, is playing around the tables in the restaurant.
Wow.
and then, I don't know, maybe a year later, his wife and the daughter came to see me, and he had died, and I didn't know that, and he came through me, the old guy.
Wow.
Oh, we've had that happen quite a few times.
I've had that happen.
Wow.
Yeah, I've actually sat with people in their house and done sessions with them, and somebody's died, and they've done it with me again, and one of those people has died, and they've spoken through me. I can see them. I'm like, wait a minute, what are you doing here? You know, oh, I died. I fell off my bike and bashed my head. Really?
Oh
my gosh. You know, and the daughter. This is a guy that's perfectly fit. He was nothing wrong with him.
Right.
Like I said, Grim Reaper.
No, but it's fast. I love the way you describe that, because it makes sense the way you describe that again with your eyes open. You're kind of taking in the data that's in front of you as opposed to, you know, what's going on.
not all auditory.
Right.
You know, I also feel them, and they also take me over as well, because I do physical things
Like the channeling.
Like when you took Wyatt Earp.
Oh no, don't get into that.
No, let's say
He turned into Wyatt Earp completely.
Anyway, yeah, I talked to Wyatt Earp once up in Colorado in Estes Hotel, in Estes Park. Anyway, Stanley Hotel, yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, but like in California once, I was doing a group, and I was just very animated with my hands, you know, and not paying attention. Just my hands, I guess, were all over the place. And I was talking to this lady. Someone was talking to me, and I was saying blah 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 blah. And she said to me after a few minutes, she said, "You're signing everything." I said, "What do you mean? What do you mean I'm signing everything?" What? She said, "You're signing everything you're saying." I said, "What?" I couldn't believe it. You know, I was like, and two other people there were three people in the room that knew sign language, and the other two people said, "Yeah, we've been watching you for 10 minutes.
Wow.
You've been signing
everything. Is that?
You've been signing everything."
That's pretty cool.
How crazy is that?
That's pretty cool.
You know, stuff like that.
Well, take me through. I've
Just
watched
real quick, I'm curious because on that same, have you ever spoken languages that you don't know?
A little bit.
Chinese, yeah, we were doing
That's pretty cool.
Oh, you got all the Chinese names.
Yeah, it was a Chinese aunt that was talking to me. We actually, up in Hollywood, they had this building set up with about 40 different studios. And what we're doing now, they were doing the early version of it. This internet thing.
Uh-huh.
It didn't exist. There was no Zoom. There was none of that. And they were setting this up. They had started it, and it had like a 10-second delay. And the most people you could have on the screen were 6 people in little boxes. So we were doing this internet. We were doing a show on the internet like this before anybody else was doing it. And actually, in the next studio was the guy from Star Trek. William Shatner had his own show next to us, and we had the same ratings as Bill Shatner.
That should never happen. Never.
I know, it was really cool, actually. It was really cool. And so one of the people in the little box there, I had this woman talking to me, and she was Chinese, and I said, and she says, say Sue. And the woman in the box says, "That's me." She said, "That's my real name." I said, "That's my aunt." She said,
I drew her.
And she drew her. She drew the Chinese woman. I thought it was a man,
but it was her.
It was her aunt. And she was telling me like her dog's name in Chinese, her sister's name in Chinese, like Wing Hang Sao, and it was all correct. Yeah, it was all correct.
Well, I got it. People are asking questions here, but I got a few as well. So I watched a few of your sessions on YouTube. When you walk into a room and there's 20, 30, 50, 100 people, the both of you, what does that initially look like from your perspective when things start coming through? Do you see people here, people there, spirits everywhere?
Let me explain. The room is packed with spirit people.
Okay.
But if I saw them all, I wouldn't know which one was talking to me.
Right.
So they're very disciplined over there. They have to present themselves. Like I'll look around the room and someone will go like this to me behind, like be standing behind someone or next to someone. And they go, you know, like some mums will. They go, "Cooey, over here, it's me." And I mean, here's a good example. So we went into one group, about 40 people. We hadn't started yet. I've got the music on, you know, just getting the mood. Everybody's getting sat down, and I can see this lady, spirit lady, standing behind this guy. And I said, "Yeah, I can see you." I said to her, "If you're still there when we start, maybe I'll start with you. I don't know. We'll see." And she was waving at me like this. I said, "Yeah, I can see you." And so we started, and sure enough, she was the first one off the bat, and it was this guy's wife. Oh no, it was her mother. And she started talking to me. She told me her name, she told me how she died, and she was saying hello to him, and he had his daughter, I think, with him. And then his son appeared to me, and he told me he'd committed suicide, and he was, you know, I could see him. And then his wife appeared, and she had died of cancer, and all of this. And it was, he actually got quite a chunk of the evening, a bit, you know. Anyway,
and then during a group, I usually draw like 3 or 4 portraits.
Okay.
3 of them, all for him.
And he got all of them. He got his mum, wife, and his son. He got all 3 of them. And guess what? He had driven 400 miles to be there.
Holy cow!
That's crazy.
He had found out about us and driven from Arizona to San Diego. 400 miles he had driven to be there that night. So I think the spirit people thought, he's put out, we're going to put out for him. You know. You know what I mean?
So and, Marty, are you drawing the whole entire time and not showing them until the end, or are you showing them as you're?
Yeah. When she's done her drawing, she'll sort of go to me like this, and I'll go, "Okay, you ready?" And then I'll present the pictures, and if no one immediately recognizes them, I'll say, "Okay, I think it's for you. This is who I think it is," and then all of a sudden they'll go, "Oh my God, yeah," you know, or something like that, you know.
That's amazing. But again, you focus on that one person that you mentioned, got your attention.
Yeah.
Are you seeing the others, or are you just locking in at one at a time?
Yeah. I mean, it's very intense in a group, because I have to remember all the people I'm talking to.
Right.
It's very draining, because like I've got Bob here saying hello, and his brother Bill's here with him, and now he wants to talk. Oh, there's another guy over here that wants to say hello, and I have to remember all these people, because like Bob's talking, he stops talking. Now Bill wants to say something, but then I might go back to Bob again. I go, oh, I'm back with that guy. Bob, he wants to say blah blah blah, and I have to remember it all while I'm doing it, so I know who I'm talking to. And that's why I'm very, very picky about the names. I have to know from them. I get really angry with people if they start blabbing their names out to me. I say, shut up. I don't need you. They'll tell me, I don't need you.
Right.
You know, that's what you're paying me for. You want to know they're there, right? I mean, if you start,
that's how I would want it to work. I wouldn't want to.
Well, yeah, we get a lot of skeptics, man. We got you know, atheists sitting with us. They're like, oh yeah, prove it to me, man. Yeah, well, you know.
Ones that come with their wives.
A lot of them come with their wives, and their wives tell us later, oh
that
yeah,
happens a lot with us too. We get that a lot. Trust me.
Yeah.
Well, somebody just popped on and said, really, we're just going to skip. Rel just said you're going to skip right over the Wyatt Earp.
Wyatt Earp, yeah. Well, I think it's on YouTube. I don't know. There was a group of about 110 people in Stanley Hotel, and toward the end of the group, I was looking over to the right, and I see this really tall guy dressed like in old Western style, with a like cowboy looking hat on, a Western style hat, and he looked like a frontiers guy, you know. And I said, who are you? And he said, I'm Wyatt Earp, just like that. I went, and he had the big old mustache, you know. And I said, oh, Wyatt Earp standing over there, I said. And I said, what are you doing here? Well, he said, someone is related to me in the audience.
Whoa.
And this guy stuck his hand up and he said, yeah, that's my great uncle.
What?
Yeah.
It's funny because we had a similar experience in that we were in a building, a historic building. The Wyckoff family owned the building and lived there for generations. And one of the people that were getting the most activity, voices coming through, recorders and things, I didn't know.
Yeah, we didn't know.
His last name was Wyckoff. And his ancestors knew he was there and were reacting to him the whole entire time.
Yeah, I mean they're not, you know, people think they're stuck there, but they're not. They're coming by because they know you're doing whatever you're doing, and they just want to interact. That's most of the time, you know. I mean,
there are a few steps.
Except like Richard Ramirez, he, you know, he's wandering around. He's not moved on.
Now, why do you think that is? You think that's because of afraid of judgment?
Yeah, a lot of that time and not willing to address how you were. I mean, maybe he was possessed. I think he was kind of possessed. He was into, if someone's possessed, I mean, they're dealing with something beyond what they can handle.
Okay, but you didn't tell him about the year after that we went to the Stanley, and we were dressed up for Halloween, and Michael decided, well, I'll go as Wyatt Earp.
Just for fun, I dressed up as Wyatt Earp.
And Michael does not sit up whenever we go anywhere. He's a sloucher.
I am too.
When he was dressed up as Wyatt Earp, he was just straight as a board, hardly talked at all to me, and it's like
he jumped right into that character.
What do they call that? Method actor. He's a method actor.
It's like, where's Michael?
Give me Michael back. Freaked her out a little bit.
That's too good.
It gets a little weird sometimes, It's like she says, "Who are you?" I said, "Yeah, I know." It gets a little weird.
Well, let me, along those same lines, somebody asked the question here. We have talked to a few people that are quote unquote psychic detectives. Have you ever worked with law enforcement on anything?
Yeah, lots of cases, but you won't hear about most of them because we do them we're in the background.
Okay.
There's one that we did, a big one that was taken up by the Psychic Investigators show.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was a murder that we solved in Napa Valley, a double murder.
Yeah, it was called. They called it Halloween Homicide because it happened.
Really, I got to watch that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good one.
That we solved that case.
Now, in a case like that, does the victim come to you?
Oh yeah, the one of the girls completely, basically took me over. I could feel every knife wound. She told me everything. We were sitting in LA talking to the detective and the surviving girl who was in the house but ran into the backyard and hid. And I was extremely sick, actually. I had a terrible cold, but maybe that helped even more, actually, because everything was I just got taken over by the one of the main girls, and the most talkative one. She's the one that put up the fight, actually. Yeah. And
she was the one that I drew the
she's the one that you drew
wow.
the first time. Yeah.
Wow. I did draw the other girl later.
But she described everything in the house to me. She told me that, everything that he did, how he got in the house, where he went after he got out the house, when he went upstairs, which room he went in, which way the door was hung on the, I could see the doors and which way they hung and what he did to the first girl. And then he came in and he attacked her and all of it. I mean, she taught all the blood she mentioned, a bloody handprint on the wall was his blood. The bloody boot print on the floor is his blood. The bloody boot print on the staircase, the fibers they found on the window, the blue fibers, all of the stuff she was telling me, what he did with the knife. I mean, I knew it was a lock knife. The detective said, we believe that's the kind of knife that was used. I said, It's a lock knife, a serrated lock knife, I said. And when he was driving up, and we went up there and we met them. We actually sat with the chief of police and the detective. And before we'd even gone to the house, we'd done 2 sessions and this session with them before we even went to the house. And
when we went to the house, we were standing outside and I told Michael, I see white buttons.
She thought they were buttons, but they weren't. They were cigarette butts.
And that's actually
and smoking there and dropping little cigarette butts on the ground. And so she thought they were buttons, but they were butts. They were cigarette butts.
Why do you think, real quick, why do you think there were 2 victims?
Yeah.
Why do you think the one came through so strongly to you where the other one?
I think she was just the better communicator and the more determined maybe the other girl didn't want to think about it.
Right.
You know, I mean, you're over there, you've been murdered. It's horrific, a horrific
And
thing.
wants to leave it there.
You know, yeah, didn't really. She did connect with us because Marty drew her, and I did connect with her, but not as strongly as the other girl, who was determined to get this guy. And I was like, we got to get this guy because he's a psychopath. This guy.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you could say a murder could be rage, right? But I don't know what it was. I just knew this guy was a psychopath. You know, he's a nutter. And we got to get him. I said to Marty, we got to get this guy. And I found out when talking with the detective years later, because a Japanese TV crew came out for the top show in Japan, and they wanted to remake the show.
So we're on Japanese TV.
Yeah, we were on Japanese TV. So we went through the whole thing again and finally met the detective. They didn't even want us to meet the detective again in case he told us anything. You know, I mean, they were skeptical. So finally, when they were done filming, we met the detective again, and I was like, I had a bunch of questions. You know, I hadn't talked to him since the whole thing. Wow. And so I said to one of the things I said was, hey, man, did you ever find out what he did with the knife? And he said, yeah, he did exactly what you said he did. Because I told him he went up the freeway. I drew a line on the map where he drove up 50 miles. And they told me, yeah, that's where the dogs went for 50 miles before they lost the scent, exactly that route. And I said, well, when he was driving up there, he went over a bridge. And as he was driving over the bridge, he wound the window down. He threw the knife into the river as he went over the bridge. And that's what he did.
Wow.
And he told me in the 4-hour interview with the killer, he found out that he was going to torture the girls before he killed them. That's how sick he was.
I want to pause right here before I ask you another question, and just remind everyone that the reason we're doing this is, you know, to get to know Michael and Marty, to interview them and, you know, find out about, you know, everything about them. But they're also going to be at the Sterling Hill Mine August 22nd. Now, they're going to be doing a gallery reading. That's why we kind of touched on the gallery reading and how they do it and their process. So tickets are still available for that if you want to come to the gallery reading. Tickets are still available. Email us, NewJerseyParanormal@yahoo.com. I'll put the link up after we're done here. And they're also going to be doing what we're calling a walkthrough of the mine itself. And it's just going to be an hour of Michael and Marty just kind of walking through and stopping and giving their impressions, what they're picking up on, who they might be picking up on. I think it's going to be really a really unique experience, both the gallery reading and the walkthrough.
First time ever at the mine doing that.
I mean, after this now, I didn't, again, I watched them on TV. I didn't really know a lot about them. But now
TV and reality is.
Yeah, but this is so much. This makes me want to be part of that so much more after meeting the two of you and hearing all the things I didn't know. It's just like, wow. You know, I would want to be part of that. I'm going to watch.
Well, they do edit a lot of stuff on TV. You only see the stuff they edited off. Right. Some of it was better than the stuff they showed. It's like, wow, why didn't they put that on? Wow.
Now, Michael, you had mentioned that people would come to you right when they passed, or 5 minutes after, or 10 minutes after. Do you? I've talked to other mediums about this as well. Do either of you, both of you, do you have the ability to just shut it down so that the guy you talked to at the gallery reading before isn't coming through tomorrow, the next day, going, hey, Michael, remember me? I got some more stuff I want you to share with whoever.
No, not generally. There are. Like I said, my friend Bill's showing up at the house. That kind of stuff happens randomly. Right. I mean, we're out at a restaurant. I see someone, my friend's dad standing behind her, and it's like, oh man, we're in a restaurant. It's noisy. And, what do you want? He said, oh, I've got a letter. I want to tell her about this letter. I said, well, you must have written a lot of letters, really? All right, I'll tell her. So I tell her, she bursts into tears and tells me she just found a letter from her real dad, who died when she was 2, to her mother that she's never seen before. things like that. I was thinking it was her stepdad. I couldn't see him. It was dark and noisy, and I'm like, "You're a dad, right?" He goes, "Yeah." Well, that's who she always tells me is her dad, but her real dad. The funny thing was, we were hanging out with a bunch of ghost hunter people,
right?
And they're all like, "I think there's someone behind the bar," and I went, "I think his name's Bob." I said, "Well, Bob is her real dad."
Whoa. Whoa.
I said, yeah, I can see him. I said, yeah, I think he's Bob. Anyway, and I'd forgotten about a real dad. You see, Bob. I was thinking it was Howard who
was having a drink, waiting for them to
Yeah.
come so he could have
But that brings me back to like my point. It's not like the movie like with Whoopi Goldberg, Ghost. You're not seeing spirits. You have the ability to turn it on and turn it off.
They usually respect our privacy.
Yeah.
Okay.
They respect, they know that we're doing this professionally, and we have a set appointment, and that's when they're going to come.
Oh wow!
But I do get hijacked occasionally. You know what I mean?
Right. That's what I was saying.
I'm telling you, we're out, and
it's usually like we're with somebody we know. It's not, we don't go into a grocery store.
Right.
And somebody we don't know.
Well, I did in actually Trader Joe's. I was in Trader Joe's one day, and this woman comes up to me.
But she came up to you.
She came up to me.
Okay.
And says, "Hello, Michael." I didn't recognize her. I said, "Do I know you?" She said, "Yeah, I came to see you a few times." As she said, I said, "Oh wow." I said, was it good? Did people come through? She said, "Well, yeah," she said, "but my son, I never got to talk to him." I said, "Oh, really? Wow." Anyway, she went out to the car, got in the car, and I felt him around me. I said, "Oh, okay." And I leaned in the car window and talked to her for her son in the parking lot. And
Oh wow!
goes parking lot for her.
Wow. I mean, again,
there are times, with it, you're just not going to get connected. It's not, it's not perfect science. But on the whole, the way they look at it is they're not going to waste our time. If it's going to happen.
When a client comes to us and they're hoping on a certain person to come through, it's like it's up to the other side what's good for them. And it turns out, maybe it was more important to hear from their cousin or something rather than their mother.
So that's your theory on that, is that
we leave it up to them.
Okay, hypothetically, I lost my mom to COVID when it first started happening. I lost my sister.
You shouldn't tell us anything.
Well, I mean, I'm not asking for a reading. I'm just saying.
No, I know, but
so if I were in front of you and a personal reading, gallery reading, and they didn't come through, what is your theory on why?
I'll give you a reason why. Okay. I'll give you an example. A judge and her husband, who's head of San Diego drug enforcement, they'd come to see us several times. They lost their son. They knew we were doing what we would do.
Right.
Like he asked his son one time to me, "Ask my son what he did when he was alive." And he said to me, "I work with light." I don't know. He says he works with light. He makes neon signs, he says to me. It's working with light, right?
He's a light worker.
Yeah, he's a light worker. What do you mean you work with light?
He makes light bulbs.
Yeah, he makes light bulbs. Right? And then he told me the sign that he made for his dad, and he said, "Yeah, that's the sign he made for me." And so they knew we were real, right? So I'm doing the session with the judge's wife, with the wife who's the judge, a high court judge, and we get to the end. Oh, the first person that shows up is this guy called John, who's standing right in front of me. I see, "What's your name?" He said, "John." "How'd you die?" He tells me I died. He says hello to her. And a few minutes later, he says, "Oh, my God, that's the court stenographer who just died."
Oh, my God.
Been sitting in a court for years,
I'm starting to rethink this whole mind thing. I don't want to.
Right? So anyway,
what am I inviting people to?
Well, I mean, he's the freaking court stenographer. He's been sitting in a court for God knows how long. I mean, I don't know if they're friends, but they must have known each other. But anyway,
Yeah.
so she knew who he was, and she said, "Oh my gosh, yeah, that's cool." She said hello to him, and anyway, some other people said hello, and she sounded a bit like put out a little bit. She said, "Can you see my mum or dad?"
They usually come through.
They usually come and talk to me. I looked around, I couldn't see them. I said, "No, they're not here. They're not here. I don't know why they're not here." I said, "Is there anything like big happening at the moment? Is there anything in
your family?
In your family? Is something major going on?" She said, "Well, my daughter's having my sister. My sister's having
open heart
surgery
at that moment."
I said, what right now?
Yeah, where do you think she's going to be?
I said, darling, they're not going to be hanging out with you while your sister's having her heart operated on. They're hanging out with her, making sure she don't cross over.
And did you tell her, stop being selfish?
well, this is the crux of it, right?
Right.
People can't help, we get a spectrum of very unselfish people.
Yeah.
And the far end, we get very selfish people who, if they don't hear what they want to hear, they think I'm rubbish.
Right.
Yeah.
I can't help that. I could tell you, the stuff I've said to them is so accurate, but they still won't believe me because that's not what they want to believe. Or that my son didn't kill himself. He did. They just don't want to accept it.
Yeah.
You can't help.
That's a hard one to hear.
Yeah, well, I tell the truth. I tell them exactly what they say to me.
One of the hardest groups we ever did was we did a whole 20 people or more than that.
Oh, it's more than that.
More than that. All parents of murdered children.
I never thought about it before I agreed to do it. I didn't think about how accurate I'd have to be because they've all been murdered. So they'd have to be so accurate that I could distinguish each one, you see.
Right.
Like one kid, he told me he was running down the alleyway to get away and they shot him in the back and blah, blah, blah. And she said, yeah, that's my son. And then another one, he's describing it exactly. And so it was like, I said to her,
is it because these people wanted to know exactly how or?
Well, no, I mean, no.
Just coming through.
Just to be able to distinguish which
one.
I'm
just curious of why parents of murdered, like a group of them, would all want to get together and go to a psychic to get
positive messages.
I know, but
yeah, I don't know. It's
they wanted to know that their children.
Yeah, they want to know they're at peace.
They want closure, and I guess they think that makes it different. I don't know. It doesn't make any difference.
I don't think any of that stuff makes any difference.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. But in their minds, it does. And that's fine. If that's what they think, it's okay, to still do it.
Right.
It's,
yeah.
I mean,
that's just unusual.
Yeah. I mean, everything, we've done a lot.
Well, it's like support counseling. It's like therapy.
Yeah, that's it.
That's
exactly what it is. Yeah, that's what it is.
And it shows that they're not really dead. They're still there.
Yeah.
Well, that leads to my next question that someone just asked. With all that you've experienced and all that you've seen and gleaned from the spirit world, do you think once you transition out of the living life, is going to the afterlife, heaven, whatever you want to call it, is that just like going to the next room and you just continue on? Or is there a transition? Or
you're asking, that's a very deep question.
Thing is, there's also different levels on the other side, so you got to be aware of that. And you'll be drawn to whichever one you'll be comfortable in. You may not be a saint, so you're not going to go up to level 7 or something. So you'll go to level 3, but you're also not
you're not a murderer or a drug dealer,
so you're not going to go to
you're not going to go to one of the lower ones. I mean, there are bad places, successively bad. In range of frequency. Think of it in frequency.
Right.
Is
there a purgatory-ish?
Yeah, there is an in-between. There is an in-between realm where it's neither. Should we say? Okay, so you die. There's the next realm in vibration. Look at them like frequency levels.
Right.
it's between this frequency and this frequency range. Then the next one is between this range and that range. But between the Earth and the next realm, there is a kind of an in-between state where people sort of can be lost for a while. They just they can see the Earth, but they're not in the Earth.
Right. That makes sense.
The Earth is an earthbound state where they wander around. They can't see the other side because they haven't gone over there yet.
Right.
They haven't transitioned over, and this is what you call earthbound spirits. And you can be stuck. It's actually.
It's like a mental institution.
It's Okay, listen.
Because they're not.
When you there's a medium that I like a lot called Leslie Flint. He's died a long time ago, but Maurice Chevalier, a famous French singer, thank heaven for little girls. This guy, right? So he dies. He comes to Maurice Chevalier, or he's brought there by some spirit guides to his group. And Leslie Flint's a very good medium. So Maurice Chevalier pops in and is talking and says, "Where am I? What is this? Who are you?" to all these little old ladies and people in his house, in his audience. And one of the ladies says, "Who are you?" And he says, "Chevalier, who are you? What am I doing here?" He says. And she says, "Oh, is that Maurice Chevalier? You died a couple of weeks ago." He says, "What are you talking about? I'm not dead." He doesn't even know he doesn't even.
My God. A medium?
He doesn't know he's died, right?
Wow.
No,
So,
not the medium.
Not the medium.
Oh, I thought the medium.
is
No,
the singer.
the singer.
Yeah. But he's been brought there to help him understand that he's died, because he doesn't know he's died. And
he's confused.
So he's confused. He doesn't know where the hell he is. See?
It's like you've seen the movie Ghost.
Yeah.
The guy on the train, where he's hitting newspapers and he's angry and he's just wandering around. He doesn't know where the hell he is. It's like that.
Well, can someone like you, either of you, do you have the ability to communicate with us? When they that and get them crossed over or whatever?
When they are connected with us, it will be the same situation as Maurice Chevalier. He's going to get help because he's in this environment with us and with all the spirit people. So something's going to happen. See?
Okay.
So Chevalier he goes away, and someone else comes in. Anyway, he's brought back again a few months later, and this time he understands what's happened to him.
Okay.
He gets it. He realizes he's died, and he explains to everybody what happened. He says, "Yes," he says, "I died, and I couldn't understand what was going on." He says, "Nobody could see me. I was going around it was like I was invisible." He said, "And I was kicking people and poking them, and nothing happening." He says, "Am I going mad? Am I?" And this was for weeks. So he doesn't know what the fuck's going on, right? And he says,
he's haunting them.
He says very funny. He says, "Yes, but I did have some success with one lady. I was blowing very hard on her neck, and she says to her, 'Ooh, do you feel that draft?' He says, 'So I had some success.'" He says, and then he said, the little old lady in the audience says, "Oh, would you sing for us?" He says, "I will come back," he says, "and I will sing for you next time," he said. And he came back and he sang to them all. And through the medium. It was fucking awesome. So that explains. So I made a song about it. It's called The Chevalier's Ghost.
We've gotten into the
I've gotten into AI sooner. I made it. It's a good song. I'm singing like, am I hanging out and I'm making the croissant float through the air?
Oh my God.
It's kind of like a little joke between me and Chevalier, like I think he's laughing over there, because I think it's a funny story. So I made it.
So the other question I have, and if this is too personal,
no,
just let me know. Do you ever talk to your own parents?
Yes.
Or
my mum and my brother have sat with me. My mother married a man later in life, a wonderful man that she was deeply in love with. He only lived 8 years, but I met him once. They came out to LA. They stayed with us for one day, and then they were off doing their own thing, you know. So I only saw him once in person, and he sat. I did a session for them. So there's my mum and him and my brother and his wife, and a bunch of his RAF friends came through and said hello to him, and he knew every one of them who I was talking to because he'd been in the RAF. I didn't know anything about him, so he was in the RAF, and later on, my mum said, "Oh my God, he can't stop talking about you. He tells everybody. He was a skeptic, but." She said, "Oh no, he believes you now. He tells everybody." Anyway, he died one day, and my mum asked me if I'd do a session for him over the phone in England, and he came in and he said very personal things to my mum. And my mum said, my mum's very British. She said, "Oh yeah," she said, "Yep, that's what he said to me." And you know, he told me about his clock that he had in the cabinet that I couldn't even see. And all these things.
She was the best kisser he'd ever.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, things like that. He said you're the best kisser he's ever like kissed, and she said, "That's what he told me." She said,
Wow. Wow.
So like, it gets very personal, you know. It's like I always feel like I'm a kind of a priest or something when I'm doing this. Like, you know, it's very personal. I will discuss things about people, but they'll never know who I'm talking about, you know.
Right.
I don't mention their names. I just say, well, here's a story, you know, and only if, yeah, nobody will know, you know.
He also, just to illustrate. A lot of times during a session with a client, some of my relatives might come through for him. Okay. And like my brother, every time he sees my brother, that means that
he's usually bringing in Vietnam vets, or because he died in Vietnam, so he assists them in coming in. He likes like a kind of like a brotherhood, you know.
He knows the ropes, and he's showing them.
Yeah, and I mean, there's so much to talk about. So much.
I got to tell you, again, not knowing a lot about the two of you, we had a brief conversation months ago, and again, what I know from you about TV, I really appreciate your honesty. Like I like people that I can ask any question to, and they answer it, whether it matches my beliefs or not.
Yeah.
You really don't shy away from anything, and I really respect that, and I like that. Because I asked you a lot of the same questions that I've asked a lot of mediums that I've known, and they'll shy away from certain things, but you just, and I really appreciate that. I really do.
Well, we've noticed a lot too with other mediums that they'll say, "I do what I do, but I don't know how I do it."
Yeah, I mean,
that's one of them. You're right.
I do understand exactly how it works. You see, I mean, I'm talking about deeply understanding how mediumship works.
Right.
I didn't start out to be a medium. I did used to wonder, like my master was a medium, world's greatest medium. I used to think to myself, I wonder what's going to happen when he's gone, you know. Wonder if anybody else will do what he's going to do, part of his group, you know. Those thoughts would go through my mind, but I never thought one day I'll be a medium. I did do a session with a guy that is very close to him, who was good at mediumship when I was 21 on my 21st birthday. And he said to me, one of the things, he didn't remember what he said to me, but he said later in life, he said, you're going to become extremely psychic, very, very psychic. He said, and you're going to do psychic healing. Because I was doing the hands-on healing stuff, I thought that's what he meant. I was going to be like getting a butcher's knife out and cutting tumors out of people, you know, and all that kind of stuff, you know, on a psychic level. And for decades, that's what I thought I was going to be doing. That's why we thought we'd do something with healing in LA. But when I started doing this, I began to realize that this was actually the psychic healing that they were talking about.
Right.
Because it does heal you on a psychic level when we do these sessions. People write to me and they say something like, this is up there with childbirth, what you did, or you've changed my life completely. You know, I don't, you know, things like that.
I don't fear death anymore.
I'm not afraid of death anymore. And when you get letters like this, and we have hundreds and hundreds of letters, so when you get letters like that, you start to realize, oh wow, this is really healing people.
Right.
I always say that when it comes to psychics and the people that sit on the other side seeking something from them, it's like going to a therapist.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, look, yeah, funny little incident. A dear friend of mine who died when he was 20, my best friend, his sister I finally hooked up with 40 years later.
Don't say hooked up.
Yeah, I know.
Met up with. So we did.
Different thing nowadays.
Different thing, yeah. Don't misunderstand.
There's a TMI.
Yeah. So we went after the group. We went across to the fish and chip shop. This was in England, and to get something to eat. And she's there with her mum, who I knew when I was 20, like a teenager, because I lived with them for a little while. And she tells me later, you did this weird thing while we were sitting there. She said, you grabbed hold of my mum's thumb and you were holding her thumb while you were talking. And that was my mum's bad thumb, and it stopped hurting after you. It's like, what? I said, what? I was completely unaware that I was doing it. I kind of reached over and grabbed her thumb and not her whole hand, and just held her thumb while I was chatting away. And she said to me that. She said, yeah, it stopped hurting after that. It didn't hurt anymore. I said, wow, that's weird. I said, so, you know, even when I'm hanging out sometimes, just weird shit happens, you know. We were walking down the street one day, and there was this woman with a little dog. And I just want to know what kind of dog it was. I said, what kind of dog is that? She said, oh, it's a French, whatever dog.
Poodle.
French. Was it a poodle?
Yeah.
It's a French poodle, she said. Oh, I said, oh. Anyway, they walked off, and I said to her, I bet its name's Pierre. She goes, come on, Pierre.
That's crazy. Wow.
So that's kind of our daily life, you know. We kind of, there's all this funny stuff that happens during the day, you know. It's like, just, I'll be watching shows with her, and I'll say, you know what's going to happen next? This. And sure enough, that's what'll happen.
Gotta go on Jeopardy, Michael. You missed your calling. You got all
She just laughs now. She just giggles. She says, yeah.
So have you written books? And I'm unfamiliar.
No, I want to. We've got one book out there, yeah.
Because people are asking me if there's anything out there.
It's called The Other Side of Autism, and it's written by Laura Hirsch, who we did about 22 or 23 sessions with, because short story, she was hoping to speak to Albert Einstein when she came to see us, and all of a sudden I started talking about Albert, and she goes, oh my God, I can't believe you're talking. I said, why? She said, because I was hoping to write a book with his help. And I said, why? She said, because my son's autistic. I said, okay, let's do it. Let's see if we'll do some sessions, and we'll see what they say. I said, but I told her in the session, I said, remember, they may talk about other things besides the cures or whatever for autism, you know. So be prepared for that. So Albert Einstein, during the sessions, would bring his friends, people he knew, so other scientists, you know, different people, and they would tell me all kinds of stuff. And like her father would come and talk to her, and this doctor she knew, and all this. So she put it in a book. She made it into a book.
Transcribed them all and put it in the book.
And like, you know, during one session, they told us about Fukushima 3 months before it happened.
Mm.
They told us exactly what was going to happen. There was going to be an attack, they said, on a nuclear power plant. It would cause an earthquake, which would cause a tsunami, which would destroy the reactor. That's what they told us. And that was 3 months before Fukushima.
That's the time I drew the reactor.
And she actually drew cooling towers for a reactor
with
a crack down it.
Yeah,
so we knew it was going to happen. And they told us it would be worse than Chernobyl, much worse than Chernobyl. And so that came up in one session, and then another session. they told us about the assassination of Osama bin Laden a week before it happened.
Yeah.
And I actually told an FBI agent who told the Secret Service. And they got back to us. He got back to me and he said, man, my Secret Service friend was so impressed. He said, you might get a visit. And then actually, I think it was less than a year later, we actually had a special operations lady come sit with us with a gun.
Oh my God.
She had a Glock strapped to her thigh in a gun holster, you know, and I'm like, she was like middle age, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think I want to visit you guys ever. I don't think we'll hang out in Jersey, but you go back to your hotel afterwards, and we'll go.
Well, so we're doing sessions in the hotel. Yeah, this lady, we don't know her. She comes in with her daughter, sits down. Marty drew her mum. I talked to her mother. Her mother told me about the one thing that saved her life in Bosnia. If she hadn't done what she did, she wouldn't have got out alive, and that was true. And after we were done, anyway, she gives me a card, and she says, I do some remote viewing for the CIA. If you want to, here's the number. You can call them, and you could help, work with the CIA doing remote viewing.
We didn't.
So no, I didn't. If I knew the CIA were pretty decent people, yeah, or but no, not.
Do you do readings still over Zoom or?
I did one last night. Yeah.
Yeah, it's called Teams. It's the same thing.
Okay. Yeah, but you still do offer those if some people are interested,
or by phone if they don't.
Yeah.
Some people don't want to be seen, so
that's fine. I've done it over the phone since day one. I've done it for 30 years over the phone. I've solved cases over the phone. It works
just as well as.
And how would people reach out to you to do that? Is there a website?
Go to our website.
Yeah, go to our website, www.spiritart.com.
Spiritart.com.
Okay.
And you can sign up there. You can.
I'll make sure I put that after we're done here on the link. But I appreciate you guys taking the time. I really
interesting.
Yeah, I am like blown away. I didn't know what to expect again because we've interviewed so many mediums before, but I really do like and appreciate your, like I said, your view on a lot of the things. When I've met people through the years in the paranormal, you take things from different people, like you said, your master. You take things from different people and you put it in your toolbox, and it kind of opens your mind a little more. And what you said about the periscope and looking, it really kind of makes sense in a lot of ways, and I do. I appreciate all that. And the way
once you go deep inside, when you can concentrate and then contemplate and then start to meditate, things become very clear. You have experiences that you can't have in your normal life. That's why people go to monasteries and all that kind of stuff, because you have to be able to withdraw from the world and learn how to do it. And then, like they say, chopping wood, carrying water. Right. Enlightenment, chopping wood, carrying water. You're still in the world, but everything's changed. You don't see it the same anymore.
You hear what he said? Contemplate. Concentrate.
No, all I can think about is he mentioned his master, and he has an English accent that he could be my Obi-Wan Kenobi.
No, I think he's got a new nickname, Marty and the Grim Reaper.
Nah.
no, I won't get any clients.
We're really looking forward to seeing you both in August. August 22nd. Here they are, Michael and Marti Parry. Spiritart.com if you want to get a reading between now and then, but definitely get those gallery reading tickets. The Ghost Walk is almost sold out, but you come and meet them, take part in the gallery reading. I think it's going to be awesome. But thank you both for
taking the time. Very much. Thank you, guys.
And sorry if we didn't get to answer everybody's questions or anything, but
no, you did. You were great. I enjoyed this a lot.
I enjoy it. You guys were real. I mean, again, John said it. You guys came and you delivered. You talked. You were very engaging. We've learned some stuff from you. So
until August, Master Obi-Wan. I'll see you then. Take care of yourself.
Have a good weekend.
Good night.
That was pretty cool.
All I was thinking the whole time as he was talking about the master. I'm like, he looks like what's his name, Obi-Wan, a little bit there. And that's all I kept thinking is that could be my Obi-Wan. He could be my spirit guide and teach me how to meditate. I'll tell you what, that was really interesting. Yeah. Like I said, there are certain things I take from people, and I put it in, and it makes it fills in a little bit of the puzzle for me in my own brain. And there was a lot of that, I think. And like I said, there was nothing that they wouldn't answer, that they kind of shied away from or were vague about. They were just like question, answer. And I appreciate that.
And they threw in wider. Can't beat that, right?
Well, that was Alex Guinness, John God. I couldn't think of the name. Anyway, that's it, guys. Tomorrow night, we will be at the Sterling Hill Mine with some of you. Looking forward to seeing you there. We'll come back Sunday night or Monday night to wrap it all up and do another one of these. And I'll talk about the Creeper Gallery and lots to tell about that, what happened after that. I couldn't even touch on that now, but I'll talk about that Monday night as well. So
have a good night. Stay safe, stay healthy, and please, more than ever, remember to be kind to each other. Makes all the difference in the world.
See you soon, guys. Have a good night.